Yes, I was specifically appointed to go to Mars, and the mission was to have taken place in the 1980s. But history got rewritten. In 1968, the Johnson Space Center announced that these Mars missions would be canceled.
But your interest in Mars has continued.
Oh, absolutely. The fact is, there may have been a civilization there once that was, basically was wiped out. NASA was covering up quite a bit. In the past, Mars was certainly more Earth-like. There was liquid water there. We see the erosional features, dried up riverbeds, lakes. We may be looking at our own future by looking at Mars.
My provisional conclusion is that there's something very significant about Mars that they don't want us to know about. If they really have been on Mars since the 1980s or even earlier, then what an incredible story to share with the whole human race. Why keep it secret? So the big picture here.
The United States government has had operational teleportation capability in which somebody can literally jump through a tunnel in a time-space continuum uninjured, well, since 1967-68.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but how do you know this?
I took 2 trips to Mars. I was 19, I was at UCLA. They put a CIA officer sort of in my life as a contact officer. I was asked if I wanted to go to Mars. I said, no, I don't want to go to Mars. And I finally said to him, why is it essential that I go? And he said, because the survival of the human race depends on it. It was initiated under the United States Navy, ultimately organized around the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, or DARPA. But the thrust of it was gathering intelligence for the Central Intelligence Agency.
There has been an extraterrestrial presence on Mars for 100,000 years, for God's sake.
Why do you want to tell us this?
It's got to be brought out. The mass of people out there need to know what this is all about. There is a major ongoing facility on Mars right now.
What can you tell us about that?
There's a space facility which Mariner 9 photographed on the equator years and years ago, which NASA released accidentally, but then they denied they ever took the picture. We go to Mars regularly. We go to the moon regularly.
How is that possible?
We're dealing with major extraterrestrial intelligence. We have science that we use every day that's over 100 years beyond what establishment science has any idea about. Infinite energy forever for nothing. But it's not to be shared, it's not to be even admitted. But the average guy out there who's paying for his air conditioning and buying gas for his old clunker does not have any idea. Have you ever really looked at the evidence? No. There's a shadow government. It has its own army, its own air force, its own navy that is totally separate and beyond everything that goes on in Washington.